السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشرك به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome friends, we will continue studying from the words. This is the 20th word, first station. We are discussing how to read the verses, the message of the Quran, how the conciseness of the Quran from the conciseness which explains to us from those particular principles, and we get a universal message from them. So the author is sharing his understanding of some of the verses which we went over in the first point, second point, third point, and now we stopped here. In the third point, around this place from this verse. And I think the topic was that each of these verses forms the tip of a vast truth, which is what we need to pay attention to when we are reading many of the verses in the Quran, that although are very concise, but they have to be interpreted and can hold vast multiple truths in them. And of course, this is just the methodology that the author is sharing to look for the vast truth or the universal message in the particular examples that are given. And this is discussing the verse of the rock and relating it to the human heart. So, and it says, and through, and behold, there are some that fall down for awe of God. And behold, there are some of the rocks that fall down for awe of God. The Quran shows the tip of a vast truth, which is like this. Like in the event of Moses asking for the vision of God. So Moses asking for the vision of God, although it's a particular historical event, but it holds many truths to it, and a universal message we can extract. And the famous mountain crumbling at the divine manifestation and the rocks being scattered. So by asking for the vision of God, the famous mountain crumbling, as is narrated in the Quran, with the interaction of Moses when he went to the mountain speaking to God, and as a sign the mountain crumbled at the divine manifestation and the rocks being scattered through the manifestations of divine glory in the form of earthquakes and the mountains shaking, most of which are like great monoliths formed of solidified liquid, and certain other geological occurrences through such awesome manifestations. Huh. Okay, so let's read that again. and certain other geological occurrences through such awesome manifestations of glory. The rocks fall from the high summits of the mountains and are broken up. Some of these rocks crumble and being transformed into earth become the source of plants. Others remain as rocks and rolling down to the valleys and plains are scattered. They serve many purposes in the works of the earth's inhabitants. By being utilized in their houses, for example, and prostrating in submission before divine wisdom and power for certain hidden instances of wisdom and benefits. They take on the form of being at the command of the principles of divine wisdom. They take on the form of being at the command of the principles of divine wisdom. So the rocks are taking on the form of being at the command of the principles of divine wisdom. The evidence that they're leaving their high places out of awe. The evidence that they're leaving their high places out of awe. Choosing lower places in humble fashion and being the means of those significant benefits. So choosing lower places in humble fashion based on being, because of the honest, realizing who the Lord is, and being the means of those significant benefits. And they are neither futile nor acting of their own accord, nor are objects of chance, but that within the disorder, through the wise disposals of one all-wise and all-powerful, they are within a wise order. They are within a wise order, not apparent to the superficial eye. The evidence for this are the purposes and benefits attached to the rocks, and the perfect order and fine art of the shirts adorned and embossed with the jewels of fruits and flowers, with which the bodies of the mountains down which they roll are clothed. They testify in a decisive fashion which cannot be doubted. Thus, you have seen how valuable these three parts of the verses are from the point of view of wisdom. So three parts of the verse that we're studying about the rocks are from the point of view of wisdom. Now see the Quran's subtle manner of exposition and miraculous eloquence. See how the Quran shows through the three famous and observed events in the three parts of the verse. See how the Quran shows the three famous and observed events in the three parts of the verse. The tips of the above mentioned extensive and important truths, and through recalling three further events, which are a warning lesson. It offers subtle guidance. It restrains in a way that cannot be resisted. For example, in the second part of the verse, it says, and behold, there are some from which, when they are cleft, water issues. So this is a part of the verse, and behold, there are some from which, so some referring to the rocks, there are some from which, when they are cleft, they break, crack, water issues. A very concise, simple phrase. And let's see how the author expands it. By alluding through this sentence. Okay, before I move on, Brother Ali, please go ahead.
The piece we read is full of scripts that we have to somehow brought into light. We have to bring those secrets into life. We have to talk about it. First of all, we see that as the text apparently, generally speaking, look, the rocks are for many other reasons as we see, earthquakes or the difference of temperature and the water getting into the rock cracks and then expanding, becoming an ice and expanding and of course breaking the rock. Look at this. What is going on here? And then rocks are becoming soil, and from the soils, it functions as the source of plants. Of course, soil doesn't create the plant, but it is obvious. But we know the soil is prepared. Plants are created in a wise way. It doesn't mean that soil is creating the plant. Now, what is going on here? And the text keeps saying divine wisdom, divine wisdom. The all-wise, disposal of all wise and powerful. They are within a wise order, not apparent to the specific eye, so superficial eye. We don't see the divine wisdom there, but how we see that there is a wisdom, how we see that divine order is taking place here in these actions. So what does divine mean? Everybody knows that divine means something not of the nature of universe, but the source of existence of the universe, wisely arranging all this. But at the same time, this arrangement is established by this divine creator. But do you think this arrangement, after being established, the things are moving according to the order the creator has put them in? I know it is not clear what I mean. Now, soil is there, and rocks became soil, and this is divine wisdom, and the plants are growing out of soil. That is plain wisdom, the divine wisdom. So how about the function of soil there? How this order perfectly realized how this order, as we see it, natural laws and change in time, how they come into existence from one stage into another stage. We can understand what I am trying to understand, to analyze here. There is a factory, and the factory is producing whatever they are producing, let's say the cars. Now, here we say, oh, the factory, in order to function, needs a conscious engineer, right? A human reason says, no, this matter cannot organize itself in this way. Okay, and the production is also perfect because we see that the car is working perfectly. Yeah. So the one who established, designed the factory to produce the car, so the car is being so meaningful, we say, whoever made this factory must be a wise man. Look at the production. It is very useful. So far, it looks okay, but most of the people's problem is there. Why? Factory is working itself. Did you see what I'm getting at? Did I make it clear what I am getting at? Factory works itself now after it is being set perfectly by the engineer. That is why people say, comfortably, awesome.
Yeah, you're saying, so basically the order that we observe, we may think that is continuing by itself.
Because it is the course of time, the factory is working and producing the cars. So most of the people say, that is the law. That is how the universe is set, established. So what is the missing point there? They say laws are standard, doesn't change. Therefore, laws are the producers, natural laws. They say natural, some people say and understand that our universe is established in this way. So it needs a creator, it needs an engineer. So this creator, the engineer of the universe, is God. Most of the people believe in God in this way. This is right. But we have to go further, as this author is really crazy about taking the subject into this field, because the problem of God, believing in the creator God, wasn't the problem of the age when the Quran was revealed. Suhail, are you with us? Okay. We have to pay attention to this point and see Christians believe in God, Jews believe in God, even what we call them pagans believed in God as the creator of the universe. They had no problem about it. And Christians and Jews differed only. Christians identified themselves with a religious tradition, Christians and Jews, and the present people during the Revelation period, 1400 years ago, did not identify themselves with a religion. So we call them pagans. Now, the Quran calls them mushrikun, and doesn't specify, but generally people's problem is not believing in God, but not associating something else with God. Or, yes, the universe is a creator, must have a creator, but this creator made the factory work. He prepared the factory. He created the factory. But now factory is producing the cars. In this field, neither the pagans nor Christians really, maybe early Christians were not yet corrupt like the people, theology of Christianity now, but Jewish people did not bother about it. It wasn't their problem at all. Oh. So my computer seems to be dying of lack of energy. So let me see until it dies. Get the other one ready, inshallah. So let's try to solve this problem. Now, by diagnosing the problem first is most important. Now, yeah. Okay, so now, did you get the question?
No, I caught your last part. What was the question itself?
Awesome. Can you repeat it, please?
It was about your factory example?
Yeah. And the question.
Sorry, you said that.
Yes, that's the point. The factory is set, and is it running by itself?
Yeah. Yep. Well, I guess, it's sort of what prevailing, especially Western thought, I think this sort of deist mentality, that, there may be a God, maybe, or some sort of architect or clock and watchmaker, and sets the world in motion, but now it's operating itself. Somehow it has these qualities that as if like it sort of personifies the order, as if you can find the order out there. Like the order is out there physically speaking, and it's the order that's directing things to operate in this way. But confusing the idea that you don't actually see the order physically, it's just your human awareness that things are being brought into existence in a certain way, and it's how every moment, like a cinema, like a movie reel, that I can appreciate order through every moment being brought into being. People don't see the world that way, because then this creator, this God, becomes near. He becomes relevant in every moment, instead of he's some sort of distant being who set the world in motion, and now it's operating itself. And so then I don't have to think about God. He doesn't enter into the equation at that point. So yeah, there's God, which is what scientists say. These atheists say, even if there is a God, so what? How is it relevant in my research or understanding of the world, or what I do in my day-to-day life? Or why does he care about me, or small things, or the earth? Or like it doesn't make any sense, because when you talk about one thing, you're talking about the whole world. Any one particle represents the whole universe. But nonetheless, that's what people say. That's what, materialist philosophers say.
Can you produce us the solution for it?
The solution to that issue?
Yeah, because yes, that is a mistake. It doesn't solve the problem. But how are we going to solve the problem?
I mean, to me, the solution is, I think the simplest solution is looking at myself, or anybody looking at themselves, rather than looking, at something out there. First, looking at myself and asking, how is my, body operating? How does it know what to do? How does it know how to operate in such a particular way? Because when you make it personal, I think people then say, then it makes it, I think, easier to question when it becomes personal. So that's kind of what I've concluded. Whereas when you talk about something that appears distant or far, like other things out there, or other creatures, or other planets or stars, it's like, oh, okay. But then when it becomes personal, it's like, oh, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? How do I have this consciousness, this awareness? How are my cells operating on their own? How is that even possible? Or my organs, or all these sort of processes.
Yeah, we must have an explanation for the existence of so-called laws, so that the laws are operating, the factory is working by itself. So the working system of the factory needs an engineer understanding. That is understandable. But now the laws working system is working by itself. That is what the problem of this age is.
Yeah, I would, I've had conversations with people who are atheists, and the simple question I ask them is, then where are these laws? Which I would like to meet these laws. I would like to meet Mother Nature, or these things that people personify. These, where are these laws that you speak of? I can't see them. So where are they? Then there's no answer after that, in my experience, because then it becomes obvious that just personifying or giving some sort of godlike quality to things that is not even out there. But that's how I brought it up with people who make mention of those things. I said, I don't see these laws that you speak of. Where are they? Because it makes it sound like when somebody says, oh, these laws are governing the world. I said, okay, you make it sound that the law is something in and of itself. So where is the law? Just like where is the law, like law of the land, the rule and order of society? Where is it? It's not, I don't like the word abstract, but it isn't some sort of notion, or it's not physical. So how can you be a materialist fundamentally? How can you say that something isn't operating at this very moment, something isn't operating this world at this very moment, if you can't even show me the law that you're talking about? Where is it?
So there is no law. We are going very well, right? I agree with you. So there is no law. What is there then? How are we going to explain that the factory is working? If there is no law, okay, but I don't really see the law. Of course, they will say it is in the nature of the matter itself. For example, can you show me your feelings? I say, no, I can't. But do you believe that feelings exist? Yeah, I believe I experience it. So we experience the law in the nature. So they say nowadays they are struggling to solve this problem. They say, I think the matter is conscious. Nowadays, I think they are, although we cannot prove it materially in the lab, but there must be consciousness in matter. In my typical factory example, I think the factory is conscious. Universe is conscious in and of itself. So the names are okay. I mean, as you said, it is called emerging phenomenon of matter, whatever that means. Yeah, but whatever that means, but what we mean by, correct. What we mean by, how do we explain it, that the factory is working? Even if say there is no law, show me, but I say I am experiencing. They say, we are experiencing as if you cannot show your feelings, but you are experiencing it, isn't it? So you believe that it exists. Yes, we are experiencing in the world order, in the matter. It is operating in order. So there must be a consciousness within the matter. That's what they say.
Well, then my simple question is then demonstrate it to me.
Yeah, it is working out there. Don't you see? Everything is the trees growing. That's demonstration.
But if somebody says there's consciousness in matter, then there's a difference between saying that the things are operating and saying then I think I know what you're asking in that.
Yeah.
It's a trick. I mean,
Yeah.
It makes it sound like because it's a contradiction because on one hand you're saying that the world is operating, so why do I need some sort of creator that you speak of beyond matter itself? The matter is conscious, but then how does this matter even have, let's say you say it's conscious and how does it even have consciousness to even begin with? Where does it even come from within matter? I would like to see it.
Now, if you say I have this feeling, so if I ask the same question, Suhail, then I'm playing the advocate of devil or whatever they call it. So you say you have feeling, and that is how you are experiencing it. You cannot show it, and demonstrate it to me. If body has feelings, demonstrate it to me. Body has the loving feeling of loving, for example, simple example, or fear, the feeling of fear. Demonstrate it to me. Well, I say, I'm experiencing it. They say, well, we are experiencing that the matter is working in this way. I think, let's, rather than repeating myself, let's think about the phrase we use in this discussion on almost every day, every occasion. There are two orders are happening, but at the same time, one order is changing into another order, which we call time. So in time, the factory is producing. This is also taking place within an order, but changing in an orderly way. So two, if you like, orders are interacting within each other. No contradiction, And this interaction is taking place in an order as well. So if you go at the existential level, there are three orders are functioning at the same time. Space-wise, everything is orderly arranged. Now, change, when the word change from one situation another situation, it is this changing also is taking place within an order. And this changing process also working in a perfect order. So what they call, this is the third dimension of the order, that natural laws inherent in the matter itself, it must be inherent in the matter itself. So the change is taking place consciously, but being having the inherent quality of making itself change according to the order, obeying the order. This matter must be an independent being, because making its own existence change, and at the same time change it within an order. So if one says, my senses, well, it is a circular loop. No, it is not a circular loop. Now here I must explain it. There are three orders, but how can I solve the source of these three orders? Whether the source of three
Can you
orders.
clarify the three orders? I understand two, but the third one is not clear to me.
Now, let's use an expression which is wrong, but we have to clarify the matter with an expression that I can understand the matter, but I will say where it is wrong later on. The space-wise order is perfect. Time-wise order is perfect. And this interaction of space-wise order and time-wise order, there is an event going on, change. The action of change itself is perfectly taking place within an order. So even if you see, if you understand it in two dimensions, because the third dimension is hard to understand, but let me go back to human example. I have feeling, I am created in an orderly way with the feeling. And I am subject to time when my experiences change. The functioning of the feeling appears to manifest itself in a different way. Not appears to be, in reality also, I'm experiencing that. Now, how the feeling of fear is changing itself according to the new order that's taking place in time. That is the answer to third dimension of the order. This change itself happening to my sense of feeling is also taking place within an order, but I will change myself, my or I mean, I shouldn't say my. I will, the sense of fear itself is going to change itself and make it take place without contradicting the two observable orders. And I have to obey the order. First, I have to follow the order, and I have to follow the order in an orderly manner that I have no freedom to choose. For example, I have no freedom to change my sense of fear while I am experiencing the sense of fear in an other condition of orders. So we have to understand that meta, or me, let me start from me. Am I first the source of existence of my fear? It is most obvious. That is the easiest. No, I don't know. I found myself. Okay. Am I controlling the change of my practice of sense of fearing? I'm choosing, but the practice is operating according to my choice, but it is operating. The existence of the operating is not my choice. Now, so if it is not my choice, do you think it is the sense's choice to adapt itself to the second situation and change it? It needs a conscious, deliberate will. So I say, look, meta, like me, I'm not changing it. I'm just using it by obeying the order in which I am created. Pay attention to this. My sense is obeying the order in which it has been located. It is subject to the order, so it changes itself according to the order, not according to the will of my sense of fear, or according to the will of changing matter. Changing, but obeying the order. And what does it mean? It must obey the order, then it has no free will. Then how can I change itself by itself? It needs free will, and there is no free will. So in three cases, the sense of fear is or has to follow the order as it has been continuously created in sequences, which we call time. That is why there is no time. The hadith says, the famous hadith, don't swear time, because God is speaking. I am time. So there is no time, there is God operating the change in the meta from one state into another state. So one state is the result of the will of the creator. Second state is the result of the will of the creator. And the action of change is the result of the will of the creator. There is no way for me to attribute the existence of my fear and the second stage existence of my fear, and by following an order, my sense of fear cannot have this freedom to choose, to prefer itself to change, but at the same time being slave of the order, which the source of which is not my sense of fear. That is your answer, Asim. The source of which this change is not the sense of fear. So what we call now, there is no time, there is acts of constant acts of creation. That's one thing. Another thing, there is no law, but constant acts of absolute being organizes the three dimensions of what we call them order by itself. So come back. Of course, the source of existence of matter also, again, the will of the creator. All of them are will of the creator. Let's come back to the factory example. Now, source of material of the factory is the one who gave them existence. Okay. And most of the people accept that the universe is created by God. This is stage one and easy, necessary, but easy. That's one stage. Another matter. Now, production is also the acts of creation as it seems to be taking place in time. Again, this concept is wrong, but that is our mind. Because of our memory, makes it attached to itself and puts the rings into a form of chain and then call it time. Now, the thing, the factory, while it is working, is it working according to an order? Yes. Can it have or can it have any power to work itself, or does it, or the world, can it have any power to act itself there, or it is obeying the will of a creator that it has to work within the time, as we call it. It means a new and different existence experience. In the course of time, factory gets worn out. But the universe doesn't get worn out because factory has to obey the order, and order continues to renew its creation, existence, and this renewation of its existence is also taking place in an order. So none of the stages of these three orders of existence can be attributed to me, to matter, to functioning rules that we talk about, the laws of the factory. There is only one law, absolute law, operating itself at different levels, or if you like, forms, within a way that it is so obvious for human mind, it cannot be happening by itself at all. There must be a will out of the everything, not only the engineer of the factory, no, creator of the material side of the factory, creator of the mechanisms, wisely arranged mechanisms of the, it means orderly way working of the factory, and also changing the matter in the course of time in a different, so different that after 50 years, this factory becomes what? Junk. Change. And factory cannot stop itself from changing. I cannot stop myself from worning out, getting aged, and die. This is the simple way of we use it in our discussions, that the change is taking place according to the will of the Creator, and at every stage of existence of the universe, matter, whatever, in its particulars and also in its totality, must have a will out of their own existence, which is the source of the existence of the universe as we experience it. Let's apply this hadith. Hadith doesn't say, I am the order, the source of existence. Hadith doesn't say, I am the source of existence of the results. I am the source of existence of what you see, everything is taking place orderly, but I am the source of existence of what you call time. It means will of the Creator is operating there. So there is no natural laws, but God's direct manifestation of his will, the Creator's. There is no time, but direct manifestation of, continuous manifestation of the Creator. Everything. God, 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 no other agent. There is no room. So as a result, we can comfortably say natural laws is as imaginary as we use time, the concept of time, but the absolute, the being one is only God. And al-dahr, the famous hadith, and al-dahr, la taslibu dahr, and al-dahr or something. I think you know how, you must have heard this hadith before. Yes, Suhail, did you hear it?
Yeah, where he says, I am time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the, or let me send it to you. So let me just post it 1 second.
So are you searching for it?
And the son of Adam hurts me, for he abuses time, though I am time.
Yeah.
I know that in my hands are all things. I cause the revolution.
Get the Arabic.
Yeah.
Excuse me, get the Arabic text. Arabic text. Arabic.
Yeah. قال الله عز وجل.
The Arabic text.
Yeah, it's there on the right.
No, I'm doing something that's a problem. Just a minute. I want to memorize the Arabic text. Come on. What is this participants here that I cannot get out of the list? So, I am. Where we are? Oh, it's here. All right. Oh, yeah. That's what I want. All right. Look, it was Ibn Adam Yasir ad-Dahra. So, لا يسبها, not لا يسلب. لا. Ibn Adam, عز وجل said, يؤذني ابن آدم يسب الدهر وأنا الدهر وبيد الأمر وأقلب الليل والنهار. Look, there is related to the, as we call it, time dimension. But that is why there is no time dimension, but there is separate existence of Layl, separate existence of Nahar, representing the change. But we know that this is an obvious example. Quran speaks to general public, but in fact, from one moment to another moment, we cannot talk about anything, operation of laws, etc., or my I am just following my free will or something, about choosing, etc. Everything's a new creation. That is how we should clarify our minds that this divine manifestation of the creation directly demonstrates that even the stones fall down and become plant, soil, and from the soil, plants grow. But this is what, generally speaking, appears to be. But the problem of this age is everything is reduced to natural laws. They just, without paying attention to this matter and just covering up by saying that, look, cell is acting, cell is adapting, cell is trying to survive, right? That is what is going on in the world. And trick language is this, cell. So we have to be careful, inshallah. So the people's struggle is this. Evolution is explained in this way. And we have to uncover. I think I cannot do it, but Suhail do it. That Suhail can do it. That's why I want to, Suhail, are you here? And make sure that we are on the same page. So you can analyze this in a technical way and study this cancer cells cannot act by themselves and cannot change by themselves, cannot be the order of their own qualities. And because their own qualities are subject to change by obeying the order, according to the order, but there is no source of the existence of the order at any stage of appearances, 3 stages of appearances. As Asim asked, the 3rd stage was difficult to understand, but I wanted to discuss this matter while Suhail is here. He can make search on it. If he cannot really, Suhail, if you cannot really demonstrate it on the 3rd dimension, forget about it, but we have to pay serious attention to by following the order, not being able to get out of the order demonstrates that I don't have free will. If I don't have free will, then how can I adapt myself to the environment in the 2nd stage of my existence? These 2 phrases I used here is essential. How, if I don't have my free will, how can I adapt myself to the 2nd stage of my existence? Since I am not the source of existence, I have no quality for this. And since I have to follow the order, and I have no free will because I don't have any choice. I have to follow the set of the creation as it appears to be. So I need to explain the quality of changing myself and by being slave of the order, but I have to realize the change of every particle has to realize the change within an order, but at the same time, they are the slaves of the order. Which kind of, as you said here, circular language is here. Making myself change in an orderly manner to survive, and at the same time, I am subject to the order in order to change myself. What does it mean? Boss and at the same time slave. Master and at the same time slave. Cannot be, I cannot have two contradictory qualities within myself. To me, it is something interesting for me. I'm excited about this. I have been thinking of this matter, and that, of course, it is easy to say that the universe needs to be, I mean, no one said here, anyways, but people say this universe is perfect, it needs a creator, and the creator put it as earlier mentioned here, that the creator is, the universe is working by itself as it is created by God. It seems to be the belief in God is there, and that's enough. That's not enough, because this belief in God, as it is, it appears to be now in the minds and language of the people, does not answer what the materialist philosophy of the, or understanding of the scientists claim, doesn't answer that. It is not enough. Yes, I mean, as a start, it is good, but really get the heart of the matter, we have to think even deeper. If you like, we can have special sessions about it, and I mean, hammer on it more and more and really analyze it with your help. I mean, I'm thinking in a primitive way.
Look, I think another example, well, something similar to what you're saying is that, so let's say the sun exists. It is. That's a sort of space dimension. It is. And so for something to be, there needs to be a conscious will behind it for it to come into being, whether it's the sun or something else. That's secondary right now, but the sun, there's a conscious will behind its existence. And that existence happens through time, and that the sun's existence, you can perceive it in one moment and the next and the next. And yes, that's the second dimension. But yet the third dimension is that how does it, if that sun, which is the first dimension, and it's existing through time, the second dimension, how is it following that order? If it, because as you said, it must have had a conscious will or a choice to be. How is it then, how does it have any will if it's subject to a particular order through time, and yet also have a will, because it can't escape that order, but also has a will to happen to be? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. The last piece is, as
Yeah.
it has a law, as it is acting as if it has a free will to change itself in order to what was the word? I don't know. I think I'm tired. In order to it change itself, in order to adapt itself in the perfect way.
Yeah.
Now, master adapting itself in the perfect way, slave cannot go out of the order. It has to obey the order. For example, factory must be made according to the order of the universe. Any engineer cannot make the factory as it adapts according to its own expectations. No, it has to follow the order. Exactly the same way, adaptation of the matter into a new state of creation needs free will. Otherwise, I cannot choose this way. The human life, look at human life, within a limited area I have the free will, but I cannot go out of the order. Although I'm saying that, look, I'm tidying my room, but at the same time, I cannot tidy my room out of the order, already existing order without my will, without the scope of my will. It is out there. I cannot put the chair anyway, for example, standing on the ceiling. There is an order I have to follow. But at the same time, I have some sort of partial feeling that I choose between two sections, etc., because human beings are conscious. That's why nowadays, because they couldn't answer this question and this matter, this subject, they say it changes itself, it changes itself. But how can you explain the existence of this matter from the beginning? How can you explain the sense of changing and adapting itself to the best option in the future for it? Does he know the future? No, the answer. There are many, many fallacies in their claims, but they have to be clearly analyzed and stated clearly. That's why I think in the field you are familiar definitely with the vocabulary, the terminologies, and also how you are familiar with how they explain this adaptation. It means evolving in the best way and getting perfection and stopping there when they see that I'm perfect now, finished. How they do that. So we have to analyze it stage by stage, reasonably consistent, and then say, and it is impossible to explain it this way. They are all subject to the way they are created, as we call it, in time. It means from one moment into another. They need to exist and change their position of existence from one state of existence into another state of existence that we call it change in time, within time. So it is the will of the creator, and there is no such time. Only the acts of creation. Time exists only within human mind, like the squares, or how do you say, each piece of the film, each moment. You know, even if you use the camera nowadays, digital camera, they only take, let's say, the computers I don't know, it is true or not, none of my business, the number, but 60 times the screen changes in a second. It means changing. Yeah, changing. How frequent is it? But each moment of change needs to be given existence, and the second moment of change also needs to be given existence, and the nature of this change cannot be attributed to matter itself, because it is obvious, cannot be attributed to matter itself, because matter has to follow the order, slave of the order. Second, change itself with its free will to adapt itself. But it doesn't have, while we talk about it has to follow the order, it has no free will. For example, I can choose to arrange my furniture here, no furniture, but something here, the setting of my room, but I cannot do it without obeying the order. So I am slave. So if I wasn't given the option by my creator, the option of free will within myself, I wouldn't be able to choose. I would be acting like a tree. I wouldn't be able to do that, because I am not the source of the existence of my free will. And free will is acting at each stage And as I am getting older and older and older, look, I am losing my free will. It means I am not the owner of my free will. I am just given the permission to use my free will. It may not be clear. I'm not saying that everything is obvious. No, but we need to work on it. Work on it. It is worth, inshallah.
Inshallah. So one thing, like for the nowadays, they use the term space and time. They combine the two dimensions. That's one thing. But the third dimension, I think, is what we need to pay attention to. So from one stage of in space time to another stage of existence as a new creation requires a conscious creator behind it.
Yeah. So we have to question the first dimension, space dimension, source of existence of the first dimension, and source of existence of the second dimension, which we call time, and third dimension, the sense of the nature of change, how it happened, this change by itself. So, I mean, maybe it's easy to explain it and simple to explain it in two dimensions. Still, it works, and it challenges this stupid claim of the universe is working by itself, perfecting itself by itself. It's an irrational claim, but
Right. Law of attraction, law of gravity, law of thermodynamics, as if they're happening by themselves.
I think the three ways in what you're trying to say is that, you know, obviously one is space and two is time, but the third way is the dimension of will or agency. So, like the sun is, that's one dimension, first dimension. It happens to be through time, second dimension, but the third dimension then, is it choosing the will aspect? Is it choosing to adapt to the order? Then what will does it have if it's choosing to adapt to the order that's, you know, specified? Then it's a slave of the order, or is it over the order? So that's kind of how I think of what you're trying to say, is that you have space, time, and then will, because that's what they tried to do when they tried to explain things away by saying these are forces or laws. They're giving another dimension, which is the dimension of will or choice or agency or cause.
Yeah, so we can say the source of existence of space, source of existence of time, and source of existence of the existence of the change, the time order, and space, the space order and the time order, how they can work perfectly in harmony. It is taking into an order. This change, the order of change, time, space, and changing it orderly needs three dimensions to be explained. Inshallah. Inshallah, let's work on it.
Thank you. That was very helpful. The way I understood was, I think there are a lot of orders. Like if we look into the laws and principle, for example, the principle of precipitation, just like general things we observe, or law of freezing, or things that we notice. Space and time is what I'm experiencing, but this change is, I think, the key point, at least the way I took it from what you all shared, is the change that's happening constantly. So it seems that the change is the constant. And so if I just focus in on this change piece, which is a constant, it can help me conclude a source of existence, because the constant is main. I don't know, maybe
all three dimensions will require that constant.
Yeah, all three dimensions. Like, why are we even saying 3 dimensions? Like, what I observe is just space, time, and the change. And change is happening within space, time. So this change is the source of existence, because I cannot explain the change.
So I am observing it, there is change. There is change within an order. Also, there is order within with space. Let's start from simple way. There is an order within space, there is an order within time, and the change process is taking place within an order. And every creature, every being is subject to obey and exist within these 3 dimensions at the same time. That is how the Quran explains it with the term qayyum. We can study it, but we have to be constant in our study, serious, take note by taking notes, etc. After completing this section, I think this section, let me see, not much is left, is it? Yeah. So we have some. We have the plan, inshallah, in our mind. Yeah, some pages until the page of, let me see. Oh, okay, until the page of 276. Now to 7, almost 19 pages. Okay, patience.
Inshallah, we'll be patient.
Mind, inshallah.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin bi hurmati surati al-Fatiha. Amin. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Inshallah, we will be constant in this class, either today or tomorrow, Sunday. And whenever this subject comes out, or maybe at the end of the class, we can discuss for 5-10 minutes what we, worked out in making it a formula, I think, how to present it. So expand it in practical terms, which needs technical knowledge. In this case, Suhail is the candidate. Knowing this